Over the course of the past 4 years plus, there have been hundreds of people as opposite me in the guest chair in this program, but nobody is more welcome than the man who sits across from me right now. On our last night at CBS, it is a great pleasure to have Dennis Miller in the chair, and thank you, my friend, for coming on, and you honor me by being here tonight.
Did you ever know that you're my hero? Tommy,
Danny,
I can't tell you how touched
Listen,
I
I was watching Letterman last night, and he had on Elton John, who was trashing Roberto Benigni. And the more Dave tried to get him off the track...
What negative could he say about Benigni?
Well, he wasn't funny. He didn't like his physical type. He doesn't act like that in life, blah, blah, blah. And he was really getting bitchy about it. And then I saw you tonight on HBO with this guy Kitchens.
Christopher Hitchens.
Hitchens. Oh, yeah.
He makes Elton John look like Leo Biscaglia, because this guy came out and waded into Mother Teresa.
You got to be kidding me.
Just lit into her.
So now you sit down.
I'm sitting there. I just said hi. I go, hi, you're a man of strong opinions, Chris. Boom, boom. Big body shots on Mother Teresa. I'm sitting there like...
Oh, man.
There's a lot of people in the world I got to get pissed at first before I start taking it out on a woman working with the lepers. He's there. She rides on Learjets, and I'm saying, I've seen a lot of jerks getting off Learjets. Why not give her a Learjet, for God's sakes? She says leprosy is a gift from God, and I say, yeah, but he includes a receipt. You can return it. I'm trying to anything
to stop it, right?
And people are sitting there in my audience. I can see they think it's a bit of a put on, but then he just keeps wading into it.
And what's happening in the seats? What's happening with the crowd?
Well, quite frankly, crowd's pro Mother Teresa.
I would think so. Yeah.
They're thinking, who is this guy and why is he attacking this sainted woman? So I try to get him off onto Clinton, and then he goes off on a thing on Clinton that makes him look like he's the president of the Mother Teresa fan club. At the end, they said, hey, call me in 6 weeks. Tell me what it's like to be gang audited, my friend, because they are going to be doing an orifice search of you for receipts. So what are you going to do? He was a good guest. He was a nice guy. I mean, you meet him off stage, he's so reticent and sheepish. He's just one of these guys.
Yeah, but the minute he gets out here, a pit bull on the attack. Yeah, okay. Let me ask you here. You've had a couple of career transitions along the way. Yeah. You had to do a last Saturday Night Live weekend update. Had to do a last late night Dennis Miller show for Tribune. What's it been like for you?
The last Saturday Night Live, it was devastating.
Really?
And I had left of my own volition to go do that Chicago Tribune show. But I do remember when I left all my friends, we have a party at the end of the year down at that ice ring at Rockefeller Center. I got in the car, I was heading home, and I looked down, and, I really erupted. I was going to miss, I really felt like I was in with good friends there, and we had done something that was reasonably good. There were times it wasn't good, but I thought we were pretty good at it. The Tribune show, I was off that stage into a pneumatic tube and on my way to Santa Barbara. I was glad to get out of there. Because I was in that weird place where I wanted to do that Tribune syndicated show because, quite frankly, at the end of the day, you roll the dice, and if you hit in syndication, you make so much money.
A lot of money.
Printing money.
A lot of money.
And I thought, I got to roll the dice. I've been on SNL 6 years. I think the demo there is 14 to 18. They might act like they're Algonquinian, but I think they're targeting kids. I was a 35-year-old guy. I thought I better go try this.
Sure.
So I got whacked after 6 months, and quite frankly, I wasn't saddened at all because I was in that unfortunate place where I wanted to try it, and I wanted it to be successful, but if it would have been successful, I would have been on TV every night for the rest of my life, and I was already, I think, on the early verges of a nervous breakdown. I remember standing backstage some nights thinking, oh, Christ, what am I doing? It's like I read an excerpt in Stephanopoulos' book about where, he's right where he wants to be finally, in the belly of the beast with Clinton, the most powerful man in the world. He's his aide-de-camp, and he's in there flaming out because he hates it. And that's kind of where I was. I finally got the gig I thought I wanted, and it was just a nightmare.
You see, that's the thing, and that's one of the reasons I'm happy to leave here. I've had a great run with this show and the others I've done. But, Dennis, I don't have any more in me. I'm on the verge of being bored with it, which sounds stupid, but...
but where do you think... Listen, man, how many guys, what have you made? I didn't even know what you've made. 25 years doing something like this?
Well, I had Tomorrow for 8.5 years. Then I had 5 years on ABC Radio, 2.5 years at CNBC, and 4.5 here. So, I've had a great run at this.
To me, you've gone way past the half-life that most guys go through. You know what I mean? Most guys get burnt out a decade ago. It's only natural to me to think that... You know, TV is such hallowed ground in this country that you kind of get on it, and I'm sure you were like this when you first got on it. I just couldn't believe I was on it.
Oh, same here.
I thought,
Same here.
I can't believe I'm on TV.
Yeah, I'm on TV.
And then after a while, you get to see, you know, just because you get a lucky break, it doesn't mean you do it until they wheel you out. I was talking with Peter backstage about Carson LaSalle, who knows Carson from ages. Who was cleaner than Carson about it? I mean, he's right in the thick of it for 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
And then he blows, and the legend only builds because he's never done anything.
That's right.
I mean, it's beautiful. It gives you chills because you think everybody's going to need a little jolt of it. Everybody's going to need the juice a little.
Yeah.
You never see him. He's he's out there playing tennis.
You know who else? Although Jack Park came back a little bit, but remember when Jack went, you didn't see him anywhere for a long time. Then he came back to ABC very briefly, and then he's been gone, and he hasn't touched it since. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, Jack was I don't know him. The little I've seen about him and read about him, he seemed like too delicate a soul. It seemed like too painful an extraction
Fragile.
for him on a nightly basis.
Very fragile.
You know what I mean? Carson, I just think he bellied up to the bar each night and sold it, and he went home, and I don't think there was a lot of soul-racking stuff. He was just good at it. He knew how to do it. He was the state of the art. And I think he went home and he looked at Alpha Centauri through the telescope, had a Colortini.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And unwound. I think Jack went home, put himself on the rack, and said, I should have did this ad-lib, you know? You know, he just was too painful.
How did you get the gig? You know you've got the best gig in showbiz. What do you do, 26 half hours a year?
Well, it's a good lesson for anybody about, you know, what is that old quote about life is what happens while you're making other plans? And there's no truer example of that to me. I got whacked from that show, and I thought, oh, God. No, you know, I remember thinking my game plan was going to be get in the back of the line for a couple years and just shut up.
Yeah, you've told me that, yeah.
You know, and then I got a call from Michael Fuchs at HBO, who just happened to be a fan of mine. And he said, listen, I know you're wounded right now. Take a while and get your head together and then come here and work for me.
Wonderful.
Oh, I mean, it was like such a, you know, a stamp of approval. I knew I had a gig again.
Sure, hope
and now,
HBO. Sure.
I'm telling you, I do have the best gig.
Yeah,
I mean,
do.
HBO is nothing but supportive for me. I do have a half hour, 26 weeks a year. And, you know, at the beginning, I remember angling to get on every week. And HBO just saying, you know, we're not a classic network.
No.
We don't want you for more than 26. We like what you do. We're not denigrating you. We just don't program like that. And it is perfect because that latter part of the year is just sorbet. I think my monkey trick gets tired if you watch it every night. After 6 months, I think they're thinking, yeah, I can take the smart-ass thing again for another 6 months.
Can we watch Miller to use the F word on cable?
Exactamundo, you know. So just when you know, they feel like I could take that again, and then at the end of the run, they're thinking, please take a break for a while. Let Chris Rock say the F word for 6 months.
We're chatting here with Dennis Miller. Back with Dennis and you on the toll-free after this break.